So when do you change strategy, if at all? Or do you keep to the original approach? Thanks for the question, Mark. It's a good one. And the problem with the question is, what is the reason that you're looking to change or adjust your open position or strategic approach? Because if the reason's anything other than A, you realise there was a mistake with your initial opening trade, or B, the actual situation has changed and developed into something different, if it's anything other than them two, then the chances are it's the wrong reason. I'm going to talk about knowing when you should and shouldn't change throughout the rest of this clip, but the short answer is, if it's not through a mistake or it's not through a change in situation, you should be sticking to the initial trade because you opened at a position of value. Okay, so I think that this happens quite a lot, and newbies change an open trading position for several different reasons which are wrong, and that is because there's money involved in a situation, and so their own personal interaction with the market feels different. They feel a little bit edgy, a little bit scared, and so they act impulsively and respond how they shouldn't. B, they're not in instant profit, which is very short-sighted and just wrong all round. Or C, they don't actually have an edge, and they don't realise how much they need an edge in order to obtain a profit. So all three of them are very wrong reasons. It should be extremely clear to anyone watching why they are the wrong reasons. If you're not sure what I mean by edge, then check out the followers Q&A, because there is a video explaining what an edge is. So you should change your current trading situation and open trade if something has drastically changed with the current situation. So a very easy and relatable example, which I've used many times over, would be if a jockey is unshipped by a horse down at the start. So if you're trading horse racing and the jockey rears up, the horse rears up, throws the jockey off and starts to bounce around, whether it gets grabbed or not, there's going to be a change in price movement within the market, because there is a reaction, something that's changed to the live situation, which has an influence on, the implied chance and probability of a horse's price to win the race. The same applies if we're talking about tennis, because I can see your question was loaded towards tennis there. If you're trading two tennis players that are live within a match, trading blow for blow, and one of them suddenly slips over and hurts himself badly, or they have a hamstring problem and they call for a medical timeout, chances are the whole market is going to be turned on its head, the situation is going to change, and so even if you had a valuable open position, you need to think about reassessing that position. Now, it could go in your favour, but if it doesn't, then I would advise closing it out as soon as possible. Typically with medical timeouts, the price can just be wild, and if you've got an open trade and that's going against you, then it makes no logical sense. You should close it out as soon as possible, take the hit in the process. It's not something that's going to happen all the time, but overall, the actual situation has changed. The only other change that I can think of would be if extreme value is offered within the market, and that differentiates from your initial open trades, your current open position. Because if there's extreme value and you see it, then you want to take some of it, and that could manifest itself in many different ways within the market, so you have to play it by ear. But they would be the situations where you should be thinking about trading. Or, like I said in the intro, you realise that you've opened up a trade in a very bad position for a wrong reason. And so, take the short-term hit, because I think what people do time and time again is they make a small mistake, and to try and correct that mistake, they do the foolish thing of either letting it run, like as a bet to see if they can get away with it, or doubling up, or something crazy like that, which there is no edge to. You need the edge, as we said. So sticking to the approach is obviously the favourable route if it's anything other than those points we've just mentioned. Now, there could be a couple that I've missed, so if you think I've missed some there, then feel free to bung them in the comments below. But suspect, if you opened a trade, you opened it for a good reason, you opened it at a point of value, and therefore there's no point giving that away just because you're not straight in profit, or you don't feel great about it. But feelings are not necessarily logical within the market, and the price hasn't actually moved just yet. And I say yet because when you open a trade in a market, the market doesn't know that you've got a trade open. Other people within a market shouldn't know that you've got a trade open, and so you have to wait for it to pan out. Sometimes you can't choose when it's going to happen. It's a case of, if you opened a point of value, a point that was useful to you, then you have to let it run its course. Notice all of them points that I've mentioned there have nothing to do with profit and loss, which is also something that's really common for people that have just come into trading. They start looking at everything in terms of profit and loss, and they gauge their success on whether they are successful based on a singular trade or a short-term trade or a couple of trades. But the reality is, due to variance and the way that probability works, it will take time to even itself out and possibly show you your edge. Now, that could happen the other way around, and that's why good traders normally judge themselves based on whether they made a value entry and a value exit and it was a good call, rather than how much money they made. Two different things, very different things. So I think that concludes the question there about if you should change your position once you've got an open trade.